First of all, there's no such thing as parental rights. In Canada, there are parental responsibilities. And in Canadian family law, the primary responsibility of parents is to support and affirm their kids.
Now, this is a doozy. Let's get into it. Now, before we get into the video, of course, I'm going to be doing a fireside chat in West Vancouver this week on Thursday in the evening. If you're in the area and you want to come out, I'll be emceeing this event. This event, of course, is for Marcus Wong. He's running to be the Conservative candidate in the next election, and hopefully he becomes the one. If you want to come out and give some support or just find out who he is, again, I'll be emceeing that event. RSVP link is in the description down below. Check it out. Let's get into this video. Now, this is a NDP member of parliament from British Columbia. This hits me close to home because this is where I'm from, and when I hear stuff like this, it really gets me nervous about all of this. Now, this is an article here from the Western Standard. Again, links in the description down below. NDP MP says children have rights, parents do not. That is a point of contention probably in most people's minds when they think about whether or not they have a right over what happens with their children's lives. Okay, here we go. BC NDP MP says children have rights, but parents do not have, they only have responsibilities. Randall Garrison from Saanich Sooke made this comment in the lobby of the House of Commons on February 8th. In the context of Alberta government's decisions to stop puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones and surgeries. Now, later in the article, they talk about how Pierre Poilievre came out and said he was against puberty blockers for children as well. If you want to check out, I have a story about that. Link will be up in the corner here. Check that out as well. But let's get into what he actually says here. And I want to break this apart because there's a lot of this that people don't understand about how it works, either legally or just in Canada. Maybe you don't know how this, what he's actually referring to here, and we're going to break it into some parts here.
Federal government to take action when necessary health care is denied to Canadians.
Do you view this as a parental rights issue at all?
Well, I'd like to say, first of all, there's no such thing as parental rights. In Canada, there are parental responsibilities. And in Canadian family law, the primary responsibility of parents is to support and affirm their kids. Children have rights in Canada, and these kind of policies restrict the rights that children have in Canada.
So then is this taking away rights from children?
So I'm going to have to get into this on it's a multifaceted thing that he actually just said there. Now, getting into the legal part of this, you know, you can go to the government of Canada's websites. He says that Canadians, they don't have a right as parents. They have responsibilities, and that it's clearly laid out that affirmation care is the part of their responsibility. The very beginning of this, you look at the law, I'm at justice.gc.ca. There's nothing about affirmation care in this actually in the law. So where is this discrepancy? Well, it comes on an ideological level here and what they think should be the thing. And we'll get into affirmation care here in a minute, but this is also the rights of children, which is being claimed here, that children have the rights to do all of these things to do with cross-sex hormones or with puberty blockers. Is this written in the law? Not necessarily that, no. But they do have things written into the law and treaties that we've signed and we've become a part of. And this is, again, links in the description down below so you can read it through its entirety. But this Article 12 goes through this. Respect for the views of the child. The principle state that children have the right to say what they think should happen and have their opinion taken into account. Not that they can just go through with it. No, but that they can have it taken into account. This does not mean that children can tell their parents what to do. No, this convention encourages adults to listen to the opinions of children and involve them in the decision making, but does not give the children authority over adults. No, this is not the case. No, that Article 12 does not interfere with parents' right and responsibility to express their views. Oh, now they're using the word parents have rights. Interesting. And yes, they do have responsibilities. Of course, parents have the responsibility to take care of their children. You're criminally liable if something happens to your children. This is the truth about the law and how it works. But yeah, they have it does not interfere with parents' right to and responsibility to express their views on matters affecting their children. Moreover, the convention recognizes the level of a child's participation in decisions must be appropriate to the child's level of maturity. Children's ability to form and express their opinions developed with age, and most adults will naturally give their views of teenagers greater weight than they would a preschooler, of course, whether in family, legal, or administrative decisions. So when we're talking about bringing puberty blockers into kindergartens, I don't think they should be making their own decisions. Now, even Toronto Star, when they're trying to go after a couple of the provinces when they were making these decisions ahead of time, this is back in July that this was written, as 2 provinces limit pronoun changes in schools, what actually are parents and kids' rights. And they go into this and they lay out that it's actually not something that you can involve yourself in other people's religious affairs. This is actually something that's written in law. Best interest of the child, parents have the right to rear their children according to their religious beliefs, including choosing religious education, choosing medical and other treatments. However, such activities can and must be restricted when they are against the child's best interests. And do you think it's in the child's best interest to go on puberty blockers? Well, this is where the legal contention comes into play, because they want to make it sound like the consensus in clinical psychology is that this is the right thing to do. And wow, there's a lot of contention in clinical psychology. Here's Dr. Jordan Peterson.
It is not the place of a therapist to affirm or conversely to deny the identity of anyone whom they admit into their care. People come to see a therapist after long and painful deliberation because they are suffering, confused, or both. The job of that therapist is to listen, to question, and to proceed with due caution. There is simply no way I would ever tell a 15-year-old adolescent that she is absolutely correct if sometimes she feels more masculine than feminine, and that if she feels that surgery is the answer, then recommend hormones that day. I would instead spend many weeks, perhaps many months or years, listening to her unwrap her story, using caution as my watchword, and help her to come to some thorough and well-developed understanding of both her autobiographical history and her destiny. It is not the
So it's not a consensus, and while this is why you see pushes to use the College of Psychologists in Ontario to get rid of just Jordan Peterson's license to operate, and this is actually the way it's been going. If you don't like what somebody is saying, even especially in a professional capacity, well, let's just get rid of their professional capacity to say this. Now, this isn't only his contention, but he expresses here that there are more people that are coming on board with this and saying, wait, this is actually the wrong way to go about this.
Harsh, and we talked it over. I had friends who kind of upbraided me for being a little harsh, and we talked it over on YouTube for about 90 minutes, and I don't regret it at all. In fact, I think that in the intervening year since that tweet or so, the tides turned very firmly in a direction that indicates that my suspicions were more than warranted. You know, a lot of the European countries that were all on board with this so-called gender-affirming care have reversed their stance, right? Mm-hmm. I had friends who...
And that is really the point here. An increasing number of European nations adopt a more cautious approach to gender-affirming care amongst minors. This is from Forbs back in June of 2023. This is... It's a contentious issue. It is. And there are a lot of people that disagree with it, and people who were agreeing with it are actually reversing their position and saying, no, we're not doing this. In March of this year, for example, the Norwegian Healthcare Investigation Board announced it will revise its current clinical recommendations with respect to gender affirming care for minors. The updated guidelines would restrict the use of puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and transition-related surgery to clinical research settings. Norway joins the European nations such as Finland, Sweden, and the UK in introducing limits on the provisions of gender-affirming care to minors. In the US, a partisan divide is shaping up between the states that allow for and guarantee access to youth gender-affirming care and the states that ban or severely restrict gender-affirming care for minors. It doesn't appear to be much middle ground. And while it seems like Canada is another one of these battlegrounds for this. And of course, you see publications from places like CBC coming out and making this a left-right divide thing, as if it's the far right. They want to make it a boogeyman. You're in the far right if you think that parents should have a right or a say in any of this stuff. And you should just leave your children to the government-run schools, and they can decide. And we don't know if there's going to be some weirdo in your kid's school that's going to convince your kid of other things, and then you're not even allowed to know about it. You're not even allowed to know about it. So, of course, yeah, they're pushing back against parents that are saying, no, we have a right to know what's happening, what our kids are being taught, and what the kids' behavior is in the actual school. Now, when it comes to this MP saying his piece, it's been floating around on the internet. Many people are saying their piece about it, especially on X. And I wanted to showcase this one. Meghan Murphy, who's also been on the show before, amazing, outspoken person on this exact wavelength here. Children in Canada have the right to develop in a healthy way. Children have the right to be protected from harm. Minors do not have the right to consent to being harmed by adults. Let me know what you think about this whole situation in the comments down below. I'm trying to keep these videos a little bit shorter these days. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.